There's this thing we do in Nigeria. Again, I grew up in Nigeria, which is when you give birth to a child, I think after 3 months, you take the baby to church for the education. It's like a culture, it's a routine. In quotes, we see it as, okay, we just have to do this. After 3 months, we take the baby to church. But do you know that's one of the most powerful things that goes on in the life cycle of a human being that looks so casual? I actually just feel that we don't pay attention so much to the power of child education. Where, again, so I began to replay it. Just like you have a new creation in this dimension of reality, and you're going before a supreme being and saying, hey, this child is giving it back to you. Come and take care of this child. So let's look at it on the dark side. Imagine taking that child to a native doctor and saying, oh, take care of this child. And why that comparison is quite interesting for me is because I had a very interesting statement that I've shared publicly about his grandfather, or his father rather, who was the first child in the family, the first son in the family for 15 years, in the Ghana kingdom for 15 years. Talk about how the whole dedication thing happened at the time, and the series of events that happened with his father at the time that was an impact of where he was dedicated when he was giving birth to. And you see this in play at a crossbow. I'm making it to say that beyond just taking your child to church for the education, you need to understand that when you give your child to a God, you have to make sure you follow the ordinances of the God to keep the child. Yeah. So I don't just hand it over to the God to take care of. This is a child, we are giving it back to you, God. There are rules, there are things, there are instructions they have to follow. Train up the child in the way of the Lord, so that when he's old, he can't depart from it. If I just leave it to God and go and not train up the child in the way of the Lord, the child gets old and depart from it. So I'm saying this because there's so much work to be done in that part. Because at the end of the day, the outcome of a child is going to fall back to who did you dedicate it to, and did you follow the ordinances of the being that you dedicated it to, because that's what will rule the child's life eventually. Even if the child wants to stray away, that being, that God, whoever you dedicated, bring it back. Of course, you dedicate it to God. So please remember, it's not just about the dedication, it's about what you do with the child after the dedication that will determine the outcome. See you in the next one.